Hi, Neil McPherson here in the Worksworth gun room. Now, I don't generally tend to have lunch in the gun room, but today I've got a bit of pigeon, and I thought what could go well with some pigeon. And if you've got some fried chicken, you probably have some chips. And I thought I'll go and get some chips. So was going to have some peas as well. Forgot the peas. But I did notice while I was at the chip shop that some new owners taken over. Got a nice big sign up saying cooking now in rapeseed oil. So I don't know what they were using before, but rapeseed oil, so that's what they've got today. Now, unfortunately, it's quite possible that all these things are going to be off the menu soon. Possible exception of the potatoes themselves, although I think if you didn't fry them or do anything else with them, they're not quite the dish they could be. The reason for this is a chap called Chris Packham, who you may know appears on the BBC a lot. Apparently doesn't work for the BBC, so that means he can use all his presence on the BBC to still be an animal rights activist, which he also is. And he, along with a couple of his like-minded friends, have set up an organisation. It's called Wild Justice, and what they did, they raised a load of money off people who probably thought they were going to save a red squirrel or something useful like that, and they actually used it to go to the High Court and challenge the general licences that Natural England issue for the destruction of pest species such as wood pigeon, crows, things that are destructive to crops or to other wildlife that you might wish to preserve. So the government, rather than waiting to see what the outcome of this trial might be, or this hearing, decided instead on Tuesday afternoon, presumably after they'd come back from a nice Easter bank holiday, that they would just withdraw all these licences because he'd issued this challenge, and they've given all the sort of countrymen and everybody who's in pest control, farmers, everybody who's dealing with that, they gave them less than 48 hours notice that these are withdrawn. So no more shooting wood pigeon. Now, you may ask, why did we need to have a general licence to shoot something that is a pest? And the wood pigeon is an acknowledged pest. If we look here, this is a government report on wood pigeon management strategies and their effectiveness, and it gives us some interesting statistics that there's something like in 2009 there were around 9 million wood pigeon in the UK. I think it's generally reckoned to be about 12 million now. Caused something like 10 to 40% losses in crops such as oilseed rape, peas, didn't get any peas anyway, and also in brassicas, so anything like that. And the loss in brassicas can be as much as £500 an acre. That's a big hit for somebody to take. It's possibly their entire margin. Now, why would you need a licence to kill something that's a pest? Well, the Wildlife and Countryside Act 1981 makes it an offence to kill any wild bird unless you've got a licence. But why would something that was a pest species, and acknowledged at the time and now as a pest species, such as wood pigeon, crows and so on, why would that be on a list like that? Couldn't possibly be because of the EU. Now the EU decided in 1979, and further EU bird directives, they've gone under various names as it's changed from being, well, it's just become more apparent what it really is. They've changed those over the years, and all those decided that, yes, everything, including a wood pigeon, on the continent they're not common, but here they're an enormous problem. Everything was protected, so accordingly we need a general licence. So those general licences, now that they've been withdrawn, can't be used, so as of today you can't go and shoot any wood pigeon. Now it might be the case that there's been talk that you're going to be able to get an individual licence, or you're going to be able to, or they're going to bring in a replacement, but they certainly haven't done so as of yet. And it's just going to be wait out and see. So you can seriously look forward to major problems in the production of oilseed rape. Now at the moment we export something like 30 to 40% of it. Well, I guess we'll be importing sunflower oil, and other replacements. Certainly none of it will be going to use for biodiesel, which is apparently a good thing for the environment. And yes, all those trucks bringing your brassicas over from Spain and the continent and wherever else they come. Yes, I know Spain's on the continent. But all those trucks coming over, well, that's obviously got to be good for the environment, which is what Wild Justice are after, isn't it? And something else that they're after is protecting bird species. But by doing this, which is protecting species that are generally recognised as pests, they're also actually sounding the death knell for species that truly do need protection, such as lapwings, curlews, a lot of ground nesting birds, because they'll be nesting just at this time of year. And on top of that, all the little songbirds, because magpies, which are also on the general licence, there's a couple of licences for either protection of wildlife or for protection of crops. They've withdrawn them all. All those birds, jackdaws and so on, they can no longer be controlled for the purposes of protecting wildlife, which you would have thought that somebody who claims to be a conservationist but is actually really just somebody who likes to see himself on the television, I think, you would have think that if they really were into conservation, that perhaps they would really want to preserve things that were endangered or needed protection, rather than things that were very common and a terrible pest. Anyway, try not to be put off your lunch. I'm not going to be put off mine. These chips in this rapeseed oil are great. In the meantime, afraid you can't go shooting these pests or trapping them or controlling them by any other means, and we'll have to see how all the songbirds and the general production of foodstuffs carries on in the UK. In the meantime, hope Chris Packham likes his chips cooked in lard. Bye. Oh, last thought for you. Do keep up to date on it. BASC website's excellent. You can also check out Countryside Alliance, and we'll try and put an update on here too. Take care.